Hello and welcome back to RPGaDAY Games. We're here with the third week of RPGaDAY 2024. If you want more information about what that is, check out the first video, otherwise I'm going to assume you already know. And we're here to do the next 6 days. We have done 1 to 7 and then 8 to 13. So today we're doing 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19. Yeah, some interesting questions here again that I don't know that I necessarily know what they mean again, so they're really going to make me think, but let's get into it, starting with day 14, compelling characters. Now, does this mean in general compelling characters, or like NPCs? What does it mean? Now, I can't say that I know, but I'm going to go with it means either characters that you've had or that your players have had. Because again, these are all up to interpretation, really. So there we are, just to get people talking. So a few ones here that I can think of off the top of my head. I had one player who had a character once who was a Divine Soul Sorcerer back in a 5e game many years ago, a game called Misfits that might still be up on this channel actually. It's not particularly fantastic, I don't think, but we had fun. But yeah, they had a character who started off just on their way to deliver a letter, I think, for someone, and kind of just got wound up in the whole story, as it were, as it often happens, but they were quite reluctant. They weren't really up for the whole adventuring thing, and when people would talk about being adventurers, they'd always be like, I'm not an adventurer, I'm just here to sort this out. And eventually they got to the point where, you know, they did have to become an adventurer, and they kind of accepted it, and that's quite a cool story. I mean, yeah, most characters, if you've got a kind of a character arc, which are things that I like to do and my players quite like, then you're going to have compelling characters to some extent, as long as you're both inputting into that, I think. In my main kind of big final legacy, I suppose, proper 5e game that I have to go back to, called, well, various things. It's about a bunch of wizards and sorcerers, essentially, so it makes scaling very difficult, but a couple of them are very interesting. You've got one of them who is what's it called? A Warforged, but it's like the only Warforged, and they were revived from some strange facility on an island that no one knew about, with no memory of what they'd done before, and, you know, they're kind of one of a kind, and then one day they randomly got magic as well from some strange shadow figure within the library. We've been kind of digging into, you know, what their past was. We've got another character who we've discovered now is the granddaughter of a lich, and, you know, what difficulties does that bring, and you know, what kind of goes on there. Another one of them is a half-elf, or maybe a quarter-elf, half-elf, I think half-elf, who's discovering that they may actually have some lineage of the royal family of this kind of huge floating city, which may or may not actually be a city of gods, and they're not entirely sure. Kind of a little bit of a Castle in the Sky, Lavender vibes there, but mixed in with some other stuff. And then another one whose kind of story we've largely resolved for now, who left their family because they wanted to marry someone who wasn't seen as right, and then that person got kidnapped, and then they kind of joined this magic school to game of how to try and find them and get them back. And our last kind of big arc that we did was all about that. So a lot of very compelling characters I've found in there, and all of them, you know, have some good story. I think any character can be compelling if you know, put some thought into it and you collaborate well with your players. Because in all those options, some of it was things that they'd come up with, and some of it was things that I said, well, if we go in this direction, things will work quite well, and, you know, we run with it, and it's been very cool. The newest game that I've started running, because I can't help myself apparently, which is a Pathfinder game called Crimson Blue, which is slightly One Piece and just in general Pirates inspired, in this area of the the world where there aren't really any bounties anymore. It's all just so dangerous that bounty hunters and people don't really want to go there, so the bounties are just cancelled because there's no point. But all of them having their, their reasons for being there. One of them kind of being hunted because they were a bit of a religious fanatic, but in a different way to all the other people who were religious fanatics, and so they've kind of been seen as sort of heretical. Another one of them is a kind of like was built as like an automaton to do bounty hunting work, and then someone took out a hit on their owner, and so now they're kind of just wandering aimlessly without kind of quite the recollection of what happened. And the other two are a bit more fun. One of them is a pirate. In fact, he's like a rat folk pirate who is going to be called Croque Monsieur, and he makes pies. So that's just mostly entertaining. I'm sure that we'll get into some more complex backstory there, but it's nice to have just a fun laugh every now and then. And then the character's kind of just been a bit of a mess and a scoundrel all over the place, messing around with nobles and halfling villagers and stuff, and it's kind of just using other people. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out and changes. So yeah, I guess my current character that I'm playing in a 5e game at the moment, who was a paladin of this kind of empire, and then as the course of the game's gone on, has discovered more and more about how the empire's very human-centric, and doesn't really have time for anyone else, and how much it lies to the people, and kind of how she's had to change. And there's a great scene we had between her and her mother where she basically said that she didn't believe in it anymore, and that's been quite interesting. That's been quite cool. So yeah, compelling characters. I just think if you workshop things together, you can come up with some great ideas and do some great stuff. As a player or as a DM or both. Day number 15, great character gear. I did a long time ago do a game where everyone had these kind of like masks that gave them like their own unique powers, and that was a lot of fun to kind of construct them all in ways that were different and unique and helped that character. And some of them were broken as hell. I think one of them gave like a rogue like triple damage, and it's like, yeah, that was a terrible idea, but it was a lot of fun. In terms of more general, like what is great character gear, or what gives great character gear, I do really like how many options there are in Pathfinder. It can get a bit much or a bit overwhelming at first, obviously, but how you've got +1 weapons, and but then there's the different materials weapons can be made out of, and then there's also the other properties they can have, like striking and things like that, or that's a rune. And then there's other properties. Like I said, my players have not got to really high enough level that like a lot of these things are coming into play, only little bits and pieces. But I do quite like that system and how many options you have with it. So that's cool. Yeah, in general, just Pathfinder has a lot of gear, which is great and can make all the characters feel very unique. Because you've kind of got so many tones, and you've got the more steampunky side with all the firearms and things. So you've got like the shield guns and like just a lot more options, I think, a lot more unique. Like you have your ancestry weapons and things as well that you don't get in like other systems quite as much. So yeah, that's a couple of answers for great character gear. I've been workshopping for the Future of the Wizards game. One of our new players has kind of a weapon. I think it's kind of inspired from, I think it's called a Kusarigama. I could be getting that wrong, but it's like a hook and chain basically style thing. I'm kind of working on an idea that because they're another spellcaster, they can use a bonus reaction to kind of imbue their melee weapon as because they're a spell blade or a spell sword. The wizardy fighty one. Imbue it with that kind of elemental power. That's like a bonus action kind of thing, and then that can help them get through some. Help them like exploit some resistances, stuff like that. Should be cool. Day number 16. Quick to learn. One Honk Before Midnight. I've played a bit more of this now with my group, and I've got another group to learn it. Very simple, 4 stats, roll dice, come up with cool concepts, just crazy ideas, or sometimes roll things together. Easy peasy, no rolling for the GM. Likewise, I'd say Black Hack is quite easy to learn for the players. You just roll your dice, you want to get under the number. I think, again, it's been a long time since I played, I'm pretty sure. But there's a couple of like extra mechanics, like how hit die work on or armor die work and things like that, which are a bit more complex. And some of it's a bit unclear, but pretty simple, I'd say. Pretty quick to learn. But One Hung Before Midnight is definitely a very quick one to learn and get to grips with, I think, which is cool. Day number 17, an engaging RPG community. Now, it must be said here, I'm not a huge enjoyer of internet interaction. I don't particularly go on community websites or make posts or comment on things. It's not really my style. It just never has been. So I don't necessarily know that I have a good answer here, but from what I can say, I mean, there's lots of great people in the D&D community, obviously. You know, the channels and Cracker Week and stuff is all proof of that. Obviously, it's the biggest, so you've also got the biggest amount of detractors. But I think it's a really great community that's overall very supportive. The RPG Brigade, or the brigade, the D&D Brigade, I can't remember. I'll find a link. That's where I kind of got a lot of people from. That's kind of where I got my start. Back when I was much younger, I definitely had some help from there, and they used to do, I'm not sure if they still do, but they certainly used to do Brigade Con, which was in support of charities. They do like a week of kind of like, people would run sessions for people or do other videos and things like that. Do like shirts and stuff. I've got one of them from like 20, I don't know, but it was a long time ago. I don't think about it too much. But yeah, that's always been a great community. But most of them have them. The Pathfinder community is great and very helpful. Sure, you know, you've got the people who are like, hey, don't play D&D, try Pathfinder, and that can be a bit annoying, I'm sure. But again, as a community, a lot of encouragement, a lot of help there. But beyond that, I don't have that much knowledge of other communities. Like, I haven't seen much of Call of Cthulhu community because I've not needed to look for it, but I'm sure it exists. And yeah, couldn't really say for others at this time. So there you go, kind of a basic answer for that one, but yeah, I still think it applies. Day number 18, memorable moment of play. Ooh, that is a interesting one. Yeah. There's a lot of those. I had a session I ran in DCC fairly recently, which was the end of oh, I don't remember what it was called, but it's kind of like a Hollow Earth style thing with 8 people and a dragon, and a lady who's kind of in charge of the dragon, and there's swamps, and there's a place called like Parthok, I think, or Parhok, maybe. I can't quite remember. I will throw up the image here if I locate it, which I'm sure I will. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite remember. At the end of that, they just rolled very well when they're on the top of this not pyramid, the other word. The more, the one that's got like levels rather than being like straight all up, or looks like it's straight all up and just like a triangle. All the words are just not working today in my head, apparently. That's annoying. Again, I'll put it up on the screen, at least the word or something. They had to get out of a portal through there that the dragon and the lady kind of created to to escape, and one of them they kind of fought off the dragon, and one of them rolled really well and rolled a crit and killed the dragon, and on the same turn the wizard, who had been not super useful, unfortunately, because of the spells that they had and just they're quite weak, so they have to be careful, rolled really high on their rope work spell, and managed to tie up the kind of warrior princess, and prevent them from escaping, and they then all fled through the hole with one of the people who'd been knocked unconscious, and I left the warrior princess to the fate of all the very angry apes, which probably didn't go too well for her, but they all felt great. It was a great moment for them. There was like a great moment of success at what they thought was going to be a very dangerous and difficult situation to get out of, but they pulled it off. So yeah, that's a memorable moment of play. There's many others I'm sure I could think of, but that is certainly one of them. And then Sensational Session. Again, I'm sure I could think of a few, but I run a lot of games, so it's hard to pinpoint them all in my mind. But one I do remember is a one-on-one session I had with one of my players for, again, the Wizards game, where they had kind of, after everything had gone on, they'd had a 50-year time gap because they had been in, or 56 year or something, because they'd been in the Feywild, and they were human, so everyone that they knew was very old or dead. They have no idea where their father is, if he's even alive, because their old home is also completely overrun by undead now. And their mother was already and is still kind of an undead creature herself, corrupted by the Lich, who was her grandfather. And she kind of went looking for traces of her, and managed to kind of find her in this like undead plot in this small town, and helped to kind of like sneak in there, did some investigating, managed to sneak in, managed to speak to her actual mother, like with kind of like a kind of soul-seeing kind of stone that she was able to use, and had like one final conversation with her mother, and then had this like great escape as she tried to like blow up this this facility, because it was like a flour mill, but they were doing some undead experiments there, but just a lot of flour, so she blew it up, and there was some very bad rolls at some points, and she very nearly died, but it was an excellent session. It was a lot of fun, some great RP, some great planning, some great character moments for her, and I did record that, so I don't know if I'll put it up here, don't know if she would want me to do that, but I've definitely got to record it so that the other players at least can witness that, because it was, at least I thought, a pretty great session. So yeah, there we go. That was the next 6 days. There's been another couple of sensational sessions. My very first campaign, where I ended that, the kind of final session of that, with the saying goodbyes and everything, that was in Ella's footsteps. That is up on the channel. I imagine that's somewhat rose-tinted glasses, but being able to finally end that, like fully end the campaign, was quite a nice feeling. And my next campaign that ended, which was the Dungeon of Tirazal, which might also be on here, where they actually fought Tirazal, was also a pretty great time. Quite liked that a lot, I think. But again, those might just be like fond memories. But Tirazal had also been this kind of like meme character where people be like, oh, is it the thing of Tirazal? So to actually like put the name to who, at least in my universe, Tirazal was, because it might be a name that exists elsewhere already, I'm not actually quite sure. And then have them fight them and defeat them was a lot of fun. And then linked it back into Misfits, I think, at the end, because they all kind of happened at the same time. So there's a couple of other options for sensational sessions that were a lot of fun to run at the time. I don't know if looking back on them they would be quite as good, but I certainly have fond memories of them, and hopefully my players do too. But yeah, an interesting 6 there. I know it was a bit rambly, so sorry about that, but we are getting close to the end now. 2 more weeks to go, so until then I will see you in the next one. Thanks for listening. Remember to like and subscribe and all that stuff. Leave your comments down below about your favourites, or post to my own channel or somewhere else. Get involved. RPGaDAY2024. Remember to hashtag that so people can find things easier. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.